Gentlemen, Ghidorah, the Return of Ghidorah, whatever you want to, this is like an awesome, 1960s Japanese Godzilla movie, but it's the Return of Ghidorah on Metal for the Masses.
Hey, what's
Gentlemen,
up?
hell yeah.
Happy
Gentlemen,
to be back.
Thank you for joining me here, some prick on the internet, JC, in the place to be. And the only place playing it harder, faster, and louder than anybody else. It is Metal for the Masses. Of course, we've interviewed you guys before, but just in case, we got some new faces that are tuned into this show. Introduce yourselves, introduce the band, what you guys are all about. You know the show.
I'm Hayden, and
I'm Ian. Everybody.
And we are Ghidorah, and we play metal music. That's
yeah.
about as general as it gets.
And not to be confused with the giant three-headed space dragon that typically fights Godzilla.
Right. Only two heads here.
Right.
Two-headed monster.
For now.
For now.
Until they can find an axe, like a steady drummer, then they're then they've got it. But so before we were we were here on the show talking about Volume 0 when you guys had just come out with that and Counterfeit Mummies and all that good stuff that you guys had out before. Today we are here to discuss your latest controversial single, if I can pronounce that right. I can't English right now. Called Kill Them Faster.
Yes.
Or Killing Them Faster. Is
Kill Them Faster.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna let you guys kind of discuss, because this is it can be, how we say, divisive, I would want to say.
Right. I mean, like
the times.
Yeah, it's current events, and as we know, current events have been quite divisive lately.
Sure.
Yeah, so I guess in a nutshell, I've described this as an anti-vaxxer song. Yeah, I mean, this is just the frustration. Like, we formed during the pandemic, and this is something that literally everyone on this planet has lived through if they weren't born in the last 2 years. And yeah, I mean, like, obviously a lot of feelings, a lot of craziness went on during that time, a lot of frustration with people,
a lot of death.
A lot of death,
which is always good feel.
A lot of metal topics going on. So yeah, I mean,
a lot of viral and non-viral death.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden's absolutely right. It's a lot of pent up frustration.
Yeah.
The way that I framed it to my family when talking about the song was, if we remember the Festivus episode of Seinfeld, Frank Costanza says, "I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're gonna hear about it." This is our ode to Frank Costanza. This is the
airing of grievances.
This is the airing of grievances from all of our pissed off pandemic related nonsense and rage and anger. We were definitely feeling it a little bit. I mean, it's hard for us to really complain. Hayden and I are fortunate enough to have families and shelter, places to sleep, things like that. So it's always been worse. But there was a lot of experiences we had that led up to Kill Them Faster.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We felt like we were doing a disservice to our metal community if we did not put something out there that is just like what felt like old school metal, but with the death metal like overtone on it. A lot of those early 80s thrash records, I could feel that when Hayden brought the original version of the song to me. It's like, I'm like, this must have been, the only thing I could think of was like, this must have been what the original like big 4, 5, 6 bands were feeling when they wrote those first 2 records. Just like, I never felt so angry, or at least I never felt anything so angry from Hayden, because every time I talk to him, he looks like this. He's smiling.
He's just too happy.
He's giggling. And he's just like, I'm not going to call him Simple Jack.
The anger has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Might as well just go
way the fuck down.
The angrier he gets, the happier he gets. It's a weird,
Yeah, it's a like inverse fucking
Right.
regression.
It's a weird disability.
well-
He just gets, the more angry he gets, the more happy he gets. I can't, right? Even right now, he's seething. I don't,
Oh,
That's right.
I love this so much.
this is the best.
But yeah, I mean, like in terms of the context of the song, you know, that even the title "Kill Them Faster," that came from a conversation I was having with my girlfriend. You know, something not probably most people know on the internet is that I have a girlfriend overseas.
And
She's in a different
still,
country.
did
Yes,
this cause
yes,
any,
still.
all right, this didn't cause any conjugal conflict between the two?
Well, I mean,
Running
that's
that
always
song
an
name
issue.
down.
Obviously, we
There
can't
you
be
go.
in the same place at the same time. But no, this was the conversation was I wanted to go see her in her country for the first time. And, you know, this was in early 2022. And it obviously had been already 2 years since the pandemic had been raging, and some of the requirements, the restrictions for international travel were just so frustrating. You know, I like the country that she's in did not allow rapid tests to be proven negative. You had to get the PCR, which I had to pay over $100 for, and then I did not get the email saying that I was negative until I was walking up to check my bags.
Yep.
And that is like what? You know, like I almost didn't even get onto my flight because of how shitty this system was. And you know, I was talking to her while I was waiting for my flight, and I was like, you know, just thinking like you know, as a world, really, you know, certain leaders, certain people in the community, we tried to stop this from spreading and failed. You know, the virus, it was too much for people to handle. And it became clear to me eventually that there was one way out, and that was through it. So the
I'm
people that
glad
were
that
gonna,
was the one way out. I thought this
right,
was going
right, you know,
somewhere
like
Freight train,
else.
baby.
the people
There's
that
one
were
way out. That
going
was in a
to
goddamn body bag. Like,
the people that were going to get COVID were going to get COVID. The people who were not going to get COVID were not going to get COVID, right? So the people who, you know, are out there ignoring everything, spreading everything, clearly this was a deadly illness, you know, and my only thought was, I only wish that it would kill them faster so we can be done with this already, done with all the bullshit, done with all the closing, done with the travel restrictions, done with the masks, you know, like I'm a patient person, but Jesus, after 2 years, it was
now, when
scary
you
to
did,
me.
I mean, like, that wouldn't just be like the people here, though. That would be like a massive, like, worldwide culling of people, you know?
Oh
like,
yeah,
that would,
I'm like, so then let me say
that would be
too,
like, right,
I don't wish anyone to die.
right.
I do not wish that upon anyone. That was just the hyperbolic voice in my head saying,
Right.
all right, you know, if it's gonna happen, let's get it over with.
Yeah. I mean, for us, one of our favorite influences, of course, is the mighty Cannibal Corpse. And if you could take two topics from some of their music that you could maybe make an amalgamation for this song, is one is the Inhumane Harvest and also the Evisceration Plague. Those are two songs that kind of, well, one of them came out right as the pandemic was going on, right? So it was kind of eerie. Along with Cattle Decapitation, the entire record that they had come out in 2019 that basically let us know that, like, hey, by the way, everybody, we predicted everything that's going to happen. So that was kind of like the unholy trinity of influence, if you will, in some of our feelings. So yeah, Hayden's absolutely right. It's not like we're trying to say like, hey, you person we don't agree with, why don't you go fucking die? Like, no,
Right.
no. Let's talk. But also, man, shit got really fucked up there for a little bit, and it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard for us to talk about it without, you know, somebody getting fucking mad, you know. And the only way that we thought like we could get through this really is through music, right? Because you can't go put it on your Facebook unless you have 4 hours to hear about everybody's goddamn opinion. You could go put it on Twitter, but you know, it'll probably get taken down and you'll get canceled. So what's the only way you can do it is you can do a death metal song, because A, Most people don't fucking care about death metal, except
I
for
was
the
about
people
to say, is he gonna
show.
say nobody listens to death metal anyway? Or
That's
No one
right.
can
But if you
understand
are
what I'm
listening to
saying
this show,
anyway.
you are a fucking cool person and you do listen to death metal. So you understand how hopefully what we're talking about is there was a certain point where a release needed to happen. Like that's the thing. And in my opinion, this song, Kill Them Faster by Ghidorah, is a perfect encompassing of emotions that we felt throughout the pandemic and the post-pandemic world and are still feeling to this day.
Yeah.
Family members, I'm sure everybody's had a bout with the illness, and it fucking sucks, man. It was trash times, but luckily, things are on the up. One of the things I'm sure we'll talk about is we got the ability to play our first show last year, which was something that we've been dreaming of for a long time, and it was a lot of fun. And possibly a couple of more announcements to come on this. But Hayden, anything else that you could think of on that?
Yeah,
topic?
I mean, just it wasn't even just like the frustration of traveling. Like, obviously, like I was in school, I was getting my MBA. That went entirely online. I lost my job in 2020 when that whole thing began. Like, this is just, so much personal frustration because of not just because of people's inability to recognize a deadly threat, but that's part of it. And one of it is, yeah. And one of the biggest things that was really, really selfish, in my opinion, was in the chorus of the song, there's a line, never think of others' problems until they are your own. My mom, for the last 8 years, has been battling cancer. It was originally ovarian, and it's been going on and on. Her immune system is destroyed from all the chemotherapy and drugs and everything. And can you imagine the last couple of years with no immune system? And this is like people with HIV and elderly people and anything else that you have no immune system left.
Yeah.
And cancer is the number 2 cause of death in the United States. So pretty much everyone knows someone who has had it or does have it. So I don't understand where there is no empathy here. My mom was trapped in her house for so long. She finally just went on a trip to Florida like a week ago and still didn't do a whole lot. She just kind of hung out at a resort. But, to see that, and, you saw these videos, I don't know if you specifically did, but I saw some videos of people who were denying that this thing was serious, and they're like, I'll never get the vaccine. And then they're on the news being put on a vent, never knowing if they're ever going to wake up, and they're crying and saying to their family, please get the vaccine. This is the worst thing ever. I, should have listened, and I was wrong. And it's like,
so
yeah.
I will, yeah. So yes, I mean, I don't talk about it a lot on my show. I'm a very political person. I like to know what's going on, and kind of, I don't watch TV news sources. I find those to just be propaganda machines.
They can be very much,
it's
yes.
like both sides. It's just
Absolutely. Yeah.
right. It's just a propaganda machine.
Just like a
So,
diet or
yes.
eating. You gotta have a balance. You gotta have a
right.
little
Or
vegetable.
the Lamb of God song, engage the
Yeah,
fear
you got,
machine.
you don't have to go
So-
all vegan. You don't have to go.
So I kind
all
of
left. You don't have to.
don't have to do it.
You
So
don't have to go.
I would just go and, I find my own sources of news through my own judgment, how I can read it. Like, I find ones that are a little non-biased, kind of give me more of the fact than they do their opinion.
Yeah.
And it's just on both sides. It was an odd time. You have a lot of the riots of peace, as some of the TV news cycles wanted to call it. And then you had a lot of the, like you were saying, the people who would be like, look, I'm not going to go do it. I look at it more as that is, while it is, I don't know, you're kind of playing with fate there. While it is not probably a smart decision, to do that. I kind of more looked at it as well, that's their decision, and the consequences of that decision are their own, much like how you say, when they're being dragged off in a stretcher, and that happened. Look, in the beginning, I was hesitant to go get a needle that my government was telling me to go get. I'm not saying I'm a
These
tinfoil
red
hat,
books
but
that ended poorly, you know.
that ended very poorly.
Right.
So like, I just waited for a little bit. I waited to see what was going to happen. I wasn't this just like, let me go rush to my nearest doctor and have this thing that, you know, I don't know what the side effects are yet. Let me do a little bit of research. Probably after a couple weeks, I was like, okay, you know, the first couple of the first trial runs don't seem to be killing people in mass.
We didn't
yet.
have
Let
a
me
Last
go.
of Us situation.
Right.
There was
Right,
no
yeah.
people with like moss coming out of their heads and shit.
Right.
Like there's
Right.
there's
I
no-
totally get
that's the
that.
important thing though that you're highlighting on is you emerged from a chrysalis of ignorance, right? You checked your sources, you did your research, you actually looked at things instead of feeling with your own opinion. Like that's the thing that gets me the most worked up, is what I think Hayden was also getting at, is that people just stayed inside their lockdown, their bubble, their information bubbles, and what they saw on social media or what they put on their local news. And that is not being informed. You know, I applaud you for going out and making sure that you did your due diligence and checking for things. And that's what's most frustrating, is the lack of empathy for other people, and then the lack of just doing a basic fucking Google search and kind of checking more than like the first two promoted options. Again, there might be a little trickle in there of Google money coming from somewhere you don't want to like look at stuff. So my point there is information. It's open and available. Like, go read shit.
Right. And especially if you have like underlying conditions. Like for myself, I'm epileptic. So it's a lot of things that I have to be like, is this going to be something that'll work with me, that is safe for me to do? Is it going to be something that counterbalances my medication? Is it going to be something that literally just throws me into a what I call a twitch fit on the floor? Like, is it going to be one of those? And I kind of just want to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, you had that extra hurdle there, you know.
Yeah.
People like Ian and I, like, we don't have constant medications we have to be taking.
Well,
like,
I'm an asthmatic, so I was one of the lucky ones to be the early guinea pig.
Oh yeah,
right.
And then I also had my son Malcolm. He was born in the later stages of the pandemic, and so it's like the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Was well, actually, it's the same as Hayden's mother. It's like he didn't have an immune system, so it was this really weird feeling of selfishness, having to choose to not see people that you love because you know that they're not going to make the right decision. We had friends and family that didn't get to meet my son until he was 9 months old and was able to have like things develop, because they're people going out partying and going out and doing stuff that was like, you might not want to go do that. And they're like, well, we want to kiss the smushy baby. And it's like, that's cool. Like, and then all of a sudden we don't
stay away from my son.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden 2 weeks later, we don't hear from him. And it's like, oh, we got COVID. And it's like, okay, well, no fucking shit, dude. Like, we could have told you that maybe going to the gay bar, like, and getting smashed in there and all y'all grinding on each other and shit like that and coming over. And so, not that I have anything about gay bars, but they're very tight. There needs to be more.
They're very tight.
They need to have more open spaces, man. Like, you gotta have.
Gotcha.
They don't always have to look like my office. Like, they don't have to be this small.
Listen, man, they know what their audience wants, and they're just trying to
promote
it. Look,
yeah,
man,
that's
right.
It
got to be a little bit more. You got to emerge from that chrysalis of ignorance you have there.
That's
man.
right. More open gay bars. Gotta try a couple of them.
But going back to like what you were saying before, it's like how like people like have their own source and they don't really want to go away from anything else other than this one source that they go into. It's something that I tell people a lot. It's a lot of people treat politics like a sports team. And
absolutely.
For sure.
It's
Ian's a Lions fan. How does that make sense?
Oh, well, that explains everything about my political ideology, man. Always taking losses, refs blowing at the last minute.
Listen, I'm a Cowboys Jets fan in Eagles territory.
Oh my God! No wonder
I-
you got the axis of evil going on. Holy shit, dude! Add in that you're a Yankees fan, we might have to end the podcast, buddy. Like,
Oh, it's all right. It's excuse me, I think I'm having
how are them boys doing? By the way, are they doing okay? At least the
we're
Eagles
doing-
didn't win. At least the Eagles didn't win the Super Bowl. That would have been.
you know, Dak Prescott walked out of there with the trophy, so I'm okay. So
It is probably the only trophy the Cowboys will win in the next.
true in the next 25
But hey,
years.
you know, Dak Prescott, Walter Payton Man of the Year. That's an incredible honor. I cannot deny that.
It is.
And also, how trash was it for the Eagles fans to boo him at the trophy presentation?
Listen,
I know we're diving into sports podcast now. We'll get back.
Some of my fans might be Eagles fans, so I don't want to say too much.
He plays both sides of the NFC.
Right. We sit here. Look, I'm used to losing. I'll just say I'm used to losing. I'm a Cowboys Jets fan. We lose a lot. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm
Yeah.
okay. That's all I'm gonna say.
You know, you're a reasonable sports fan, but like you said, you know, going back to that, sure, it's like someone picks their team and they ride with it.
No matter what,
I'm gonna pick
ride or die.
Like I'm gonna pick CNN or I'm gonna pick Fox News, and that's the only source that I'm going to sit with. And somebody's either you know, because I hear it all the time. It's like somebody's either a libtard or somebody's either a far right extremist or blah blah. And it's just I find it more to be an American thing these days than any. I mean, like I can't say like, you know, I'm not actively sitting in like Germany or England or something to know how their politics work and what they do. But how I look at it here, it's just like it is very much like we treat our politics the way we treat our sports fandoms. Very extreme, very one-sided. Any contradiction to it is a threat and must be eradicated, you know, or must be, it's the enemy. You know, we don't listen to the enemy. It's my way or the highway. And it's something that has like, you know, to go on with this single that you guys have put out, you know, because this is obviously, you know, the extreme of one side of this argument. You know, you have those people that have maybe their one team
extreme too. I mean, how fun would a song be like, go get vaccinated, but it's okay to if you don't want to? Like, that's not
right.
Like,
you know, it's, you could do that, or you could do like, I don't know. I remember when they were talking about the rioting that was going on, and I believe in Portland, where the guy said stuff's on fire, but it's mostly peaceful. Like, you know, you could do a song about that. And it's like, okay, guy, come on now. Like
we have that one. It's called Blood Moon Ritual.
I don't think that's what that one's about.
No, it's not.
But listen, it could be. But no, it's very much just like there are people who will literally just ignore reality, and they will be ride or die for one side and not listen to any contradicting fact. And
definitely
this is what the topic of your track is, one very good example of that, if I can be so bold as to say.
Yeah, and it is, you know, obviously, like, I only wish it would kill them faster. Like, that is a very extreme stance to take about people that are on the
not like what you're saying, but what it's about.
What it's about, it is, so like, you know, obviously, like, there was
January 6th and
like, so the January 6th riot, and like, you know, the QAnon believers and the, you know, conservatives. There's a Venn diagram of that, and
it'd be a hell of a Venn diagram. It's gonna need 4K for all the things at the center, but
right. The very center is these, you know, most extreme people that want to go decapitate Mike Pence, and they want, you know, they think there's little microchips in every vaccine somehow, and you know, that's
Boss Metal Zone pedals are actually the vaccine.
That's the most
did a song about that, by the way. Our buddies from Maryland. I wish they were our buddies, but they're not.
Wait, what?
One of the
whoa.
original conspiracies in the beginning was somebody found the microchip blueprint.
What?
It ended up being the
dude.
circuit to a Boss Metal Zone guitar.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now. Yes, I
So,
do remember
which
that.
actually would be fucking great.
Yeah,
Why did we do that? If we were all just gonna have a Boss Metal Zone pedal in us, that would save me like $120 fucking
I
dollars.
forgot about that thing. That
Yeah.
was
So,
yeah.
but again, it always
It
comes.
would make some people worth more, you
It
know.
would. I would plug my ass right into my PV amp every fucking day. It would save me a lot.
Literally.
Yeah, it would save a lot of time.
Yeah. But so yes, to finish that point, this song is about the most extreme of those people, because the average American is, they've got opinions on one side and the other. They're more middle of the road, and even the average conservative or the average liberal person, they're not even all that extreme. But the things that you see in the news, and definitely like the propaganda that we've been talking about, it's like, these people all believe this and these ones all want this, and
Conflict sells ratings, and
right,
news
and like
survives
it
on
makes for a
ratings.
fun song,
For sure. Bands like Thy Art Is Murder have songs that are, I would say, adjacent to us and things like that, that have come out recently that I would even put as controversial, but they're fucking cool metal songs.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it is a way for us to get a release, but it is trying to make fun metal music, which is like, I think something that we're getting, like I'm getting really tired of the dinosaurs of metal saying that like people don't take enough risk. There's too many bands don't do underproduced stuff, if you will. They don't, and like there's always this laundry list of things that the old guard is almost gatekeeping things from being successful. Then we try to put as much stuff out as we can. And that's what I love to hear. The words that you're using to describe the situation in the song, I'm just like, this is what metal needs more of. It needs more attention. It needs more grittiness. And it needs a few more steps for people to be willing to get told, hey, I don't agree with what you're fucking saying, but the way you did it, that was fucking cool.
And that's how it should be. I was sitting down listening to this track with a buddy of mine, and my one buddy who might be a little bit more conservative than I am. I'm more like in the middle, slightly conservative. I used to be really conservative back in the day, but then I just started kind of I guess, mellowing out a little bit and just kind of wanting to get more both side information and just kind of make my own way in the universe,
Right, yeah.
So I'm kind of just sitting here listening to it, and I'm like, okay, they have a message that they want to put out. This is what they believe. That's fine. Everybody can nitpick certain things and disagree with certain things, but this is their art. This is their song. This is what they want to put out, have them put out. It's fucking cool. Like you said, Ian, somebody might not agree with it, but we like how you did it.
40 years later, Stranglehold is still a fucking cool song, and I can't stand Uncle Ted. Like, how many years to say it? I can't agree with anything that asshole says, but god damn it, that is a fucking cool song to the day I die. Like,
how many years later is Killing in the Name Of still a great song to listen to?
For sure.
Yeah.
How many years
and
later?
They were not raging against the microwave.
No, they were not raging against the microwave.
It was not the dishwasher.
NWA was not singing about the fun police when they
didn't want to literally fuck the police. They
no, it was not a porn. It was not a porno that they were putting out.
If we're gonna get back to gay bar songs, it was a gay bar song.
Ian, I'm gonna have to ask you some. I'm gonna have to start asking you some questions the more you bring up gay bars here.
Hey man, they're a fun time.
There's one not far from his house. Although
it's good stuff.
He knows. That's why he bought. That's why he lives so close.
That's right. I got gay bar stonks. I got gay bar stonks. But another thing to go on is, if people have a hard time with the kill them faster ideology, if you will. it's still for me another adjacent conversation to what's going on with Pantera right now.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
also the mistakes of Guns N' Roses in the past. Slash in the media today was talking about like Guns N' Roses
yeah, I
how to
saw
survive
that.
the late 80s and 90s.
No,
And
if it was the way it was today,
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses, a lot of bands
Yeah.
would not be
for
around.
fuck's sake, Dimebag used to play with a Confederate flag guitar, but at the same time, Dimebag, like all these things kind of coincide each other. It's different times, but the point is you can learn a lesson, like, and make a mistake and like it be acceptable. But the point being is metal music is there to be a community, and hopefully you listen to the song and you come out of it either going, I'm gonna write a way fucking cooler song that's about the opposite, like Aiden was saying. Like, to me, if the coolest metal song ever written is like the anti Kill Them Faster song, like, you fucking did it, man. Good for you. Like, hell yeah. But the point being is like, that's at the end of the day, that's what the original goal of the metal genre is all about, is being the opposite of what is known as cool and safe.
Right.
And also happy birthday to Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath released on this day today. Fate has willed it to be. So that's pretty awesome.
I totally agree, just because like music is expression. At the end of the day, music is an expression. Music is art. Art is also expression. And here we have this beautiful thing called, freedom of speech, freedom of expression.
Yeah.
It's much like how some people would say, like, it is my choice not to go get the needle of destiny. I don't know. I like coming up with fun names for the shit.
That's way better marketing for sure.
It's great. The needle of destiny. Like, some people have their choice to do it. Your freedom of choice does not free you of consequence. Every choice you make has a consequence. Every expression you make has an after effect. So it's to put out something that is on its face, that on its face is going to be something, I want to say something divisive, something that's going to, not just come down and be, here's a catchy song about mummies and blood moon rituals and stuff. Here's something absolutely serious, just, to let you guys know, like, hey, this is what we think. That takes guts, that takes some serious stone to just be like, hey, like, do we possibly want to, I'm not saying you guys have, but like you put anything out that's divisive and it's like, hey, do we potentially want to turn some people off from our band? Like,
It's always
do we want to, it's like for any artist, that's a fear.
Yeah.
But to overcome that fear and be like, man, fuck that. Let's put this out. Let's let's put what we want to say down. Like, if in an age of cancellation where at any moment somebody can, get uppity, get offensive, like, get their, get their
I've already
feelings
made jokes in this interview that are probably on the cancel list already.
Oh, listen, dude, I'll be right there. I'll be right there.
I agree with you though. It's you have to, like, there's multiple comedians that I love and artists that Hayden loves that walk this line all day. Hayden, I don't know if you have much you want to add on this topic, but my biggest thing is if somebody who's not pro science listens to our music and doesn't listen to us because they're not pro science, it's like, what the fuck? You can't like Star Trek and not be pro science. Like, that, you can't like the cool shit in comics and not be pro science. Like, it just means you're a fucking asshole. or in your chrysalis of ignorance, read a book, please.
Yeah. And, I was gonna add on to what you're saying. I had a international marketing class. It was one of the very last classes I had for my MBA, and one of our weekly discussion board topics was, pretend you are running the marketing for a foreign business and you're trying to operate within the USA. Would you advertise in any political way or try to appeal to anyone politically? Because this is such a, you know, like big topic that's going on in the United States the last couple of years.
For sure.
And my response was like, hell no. Like the most,
Right.
if I was a foreigner trying to appeal to Americans, like the most political thing that I would put on there is using like recycled materials or something.
Great
Well, right.
sustainability.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at any kind of advertising in here, just because, like, you know, my lying eyes do not deceive me, you would not be able to use any kind of religion, you know.
No. Nope.
None. You couldn't do it. Unless you were, for whatever reason, making fun of Christianity. That seems to be the only one with an okay, you know. That's
A lot of
the
bands
only
have made their life what is it, Behemoth? They definitely
that's
like
the only
I mean,
that's
like,
80% of Behemoth songs, but
right. That's
Again,
the only one. Any
good
other
stuff.
ones you want to pick, don't do it. Your career's over.
yeah.
You can't use anything that is damaging to certain sexualities. Can't do it. You know, that's hate crimes. Anything that I just would not want to be any kind of advertiser at all.
Right.
Right.
You
like,
gotta, I mean,
you can't do anything. Even something that you might think is safe is not safe, because we live in a world, and I'm going to say it, we live in a world where we live in a world that gives too much of a fuck about how people feel. Like, and it's just it. At the end of the day, we live in a world that gives too much of a fuck about what
there's
people
different.
feel.
I see where you're going. There's different layers, though. Like for me,
There is.
The biggest thing is there is a thing to be said about, like, you know, more representation in film and music and things.
Absolutely.
Like that. But there's also things
I'm not
like
advertising to. I'm not. You know. I'm not saying that the South should rise again. This
oh
isn't
no,
where
for
I'm
sure.
going with
But
this
where I was
conversation.
going was like vegetarians ruined McDonald's, which is the classic thing Bill Burr talks about. As soon as they added a fucking salad to their menu, that's when all this shit started going downhill. And I bet your ass, I was probably around 2002 when they added a salad to their menu. So, you know, vegetarians ruined McDonald's, a great thing. But like, you know, a joke like that, somebody's gonna hear that and be like, I can't believe
he's
Ghidorah. They're
anti-vegetarian.
anti-vegetarian. They want just all the cows to die. I'm never listening to their fucking music again because they're a bunch
Bill
of
Burr wants to
assholes.
murder me because I'm a vegan.
So I agree with you. There are certain levels of things. Tom Segura and his wife on their podcast, Christina Paziskin. Sorry if you ever listen to this podcast and I fucked up your last name, Christina P. They talk about that. Funny is funny, but
Thank
like
you if you do listen to this podcast.
yeah, for sure. But funny is funny sometimes. But also, like, sometimes, like, it's great that we live in and breathe in a genre where you can have a song that is very serious, like Kill Them Faster, where we talk about the realities of life, you know, being in our four-walled box for a long time, and a lot of repression of anger and angst and just all these emotions that we don't know what to do with. And then start talking about like underwater sea adventures and fucking Marvel characters and the Casket of Ancient Winners and shit like that. So at the end of the day, I'm not a super religious person, but I do feel blessed to be able to have Hayden and the band and all of you being able to give us feedback and listen to the music and tell us what we did right and what we're fucking stupid about. That to me that's the metal community. We've never been afraid to be bold and do stupid shit, climb on amps and jump off fucking cars, and like basically Philly fans.
Yeah, you know, and like, you know, to go along with what you're saying there, Ian, and what John said earlier with the freedom of speech, you know, the metal music has always been purveyors of freedom of speech, you know.
Sure.
You know, the PMRC and like, you know, John Denver and Dee Snider and Frank Zappa, like standing up for freedom of speech and music. And, you know, like you've got so much that you're able to say through art, you know, music and movies and even on live news, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
cable, internet, or otherwise, for
yeah,
sure.
you know, and like, you know, that is like, I totally agree, one of the greatest things in the United States. Like this band or that song could not exist in China. It would not exist in North Korea. It would not exist in Russia. You know, like
It would not exist if we were bought and paid for by George Soros. You know.
yeah. Right.
But I do have to say, Visa card. No, I'm just kidding.
So yeah, you know, like there's definitely opinions in this song. You know, there are feelings that we have felt, and these are expressions, and it is hyperbolic to the furthest extent that it could
For
be.
sure.
And you know, like I said earlier, like we wish no ill will upon anybody. You know, if I could
Right.
have my way, the virus never would have happened, no one would have died, everything like that, you know.
We would also have our family members that we cherished who passed away from COVID, and
Yeah.
that would have been great. But unfortunately, that's not what great metal songs are about.
And it's not what reality is.
And that
you
isn't
know?
what reality is.
So, but yeah, like, you know, just to, you know, recap that, like it is an extreme song, and you know, it's not exactly my wishes, but it is
Right.
something that I
But
felt in a very strong moment of frustration where I'm like, I can't get on this fucking plane. I gotta pay this much money to go over here and then
Can't see your
money to get
friends.
it
You
back
can't
and have stuff shoved up my nose. Wear a mask for 15 hours on a plane. So
Ian, he said shoved up his nose. Don't get excited.
Hey, you know, I love it. We do have a song about snow and snort. No, I'm just kidding. So,
But I get you. I understand. It's metal is freedom. Music is freedom. Music, like, it is the purest form of expression is music, because you are sitting here, and you're not just putting your opinion down into lyrical form, you're putting your feeling down into musical form, you know, with whatever instrument you play. You know, I think, you know, drummers more emotional than anybody, just because they can beat the shit out of something all day. Like, you know, it's amazing.
they're always the angriest ones.
yeah, man.
Absolutely. The best kind of
But
anger
we love
management. Go
drummers,
buy
man.
a drum kit.
Shout out to our boy Ian, by the way, who filled in on drums, and who's what's his
Not you.
No, we actually have another Ian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting a new project. So, but he's one of us, man. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, which we love. And also, if Tristan of Forge the Sun is listening, we appreciate you for helping fill in too. Because
amazing job.
Again, these are, if you know, maybe I'm revealing too much, but these are also people that don't align with Hayden and I politically. But at the end of the day, we played a fucking killer show together, and we still keep in touch with each other. And I think maybe if there's one thing I wish we could end the program on, is like, use metal as a way to create a dialogue, like just like we're doing today.
Yeah.
There are certain things that, you know, like Hayden said, hyperbolic in the song. But we really just love the metal community. We had to find a way to just get these things out of our fucking system, so we ourselves did not end up in a prison cell. And I don't think there's anybody other than the, like, you know, you've seen Hayden in the gym, you know, lifting like, lift heavy stones so the voices go away. Like, like it's either that or playing music. So
Hayden, they make medication for that. I just want to you know,
smile and be angry and lift.
Don't be like a Midwesterner and push everything down to, you know, into everything.
It's not just Midwesterners. I
see it. That's the problem, is like, we got to stop doing, like, we got to stop pushing it all down. We have to talk about it. We have to express what we're feeling. And it's like, and that's something that I, you know, if you can't tell from the podcast, I talk a metric fuck ton, but I try to be cautious.
I think I've learned more about you in this program than I have than the entire song, than the single, really. I've learned more about
well,
you.
That's good. Then that's a good fucking interview. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, you know, and that's part of it too, is like, you never really get a true perspective of who somebody is from a piece of art, you know?
For sure.
No.
You know, if I say something like, you know, these kill them faster, like, you know, the coronavirus.
Well, that's why we have these questions. I'm like, Hayden, sir, when you say kill them faster,
who do you mean?
What do you mean?
Yeah, what are you?
All of them. No.
Right, all of them.
In a big box, you know. But again, I do
Same.
hope if you do listen to the song that if you have any kind of thoughts that are of the negative, we're
You
more
write them in the comments
we are more
section.
than happy to listen to you.
Write them in the comments. Well,
Because
now, maybe after if people hear this, they understand that frustration
Yeah.
that we felt. Like I wanted to see my girlfriend. I wanted my mom to be able to go outside and not
I
have
didn't
to
want my
die
uncle to die, etc.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But
I wanted to go
uh,
back to my
Sure.
fucking job.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'm glad
exactly.
that was a weird fucking thing too. That's a story for another day. I work remotely for the last 8 years, so like
Oh,
I've been in this room as my job since about 2016. So like that wasn't a change for me. It was the not being able to go down the fucking street and go to a bar. That
yeah.
fucked me up. Like not being able to go like just like the simple thing of going to have food or a drink, and it just kept being spoiled by people that would be again selfish, which is
Right.
part of the song that Hayden eloquently wrote. And I do think, even though it is a very brutal song title, there are some really, really smart lyrics in there that Hayden wrote.
Thank you.
So, highly recommend you see the lyrics and listen to them and let us know what you think, because I
And then
really
comment
think
angrily.
it's a fucking cool song, but at the end of the day, somebody's not gonna like it.
Yeah, right.
The
right.
beautiful thing about
Absolutely.
metal music there.
The
There's
thing
no-
about music, this thing about anything, I mean, like it's the same thing with people when like, NWA with Fuck the Police, when that
Oh
came
yeah,
out.
that pissed off a lot of
And
people.
it pissed off a lot of people. Like, it's divisive, but at the same time, it's like it's divisive from the point of this is the perspective of one group of people and what they're living through, because
Absolutely.
they were. And it's another perspective of somebody who might not be. It's a perspective of you need to be able to put yourself into somebody else's shoes and get out of your own, get out of your own perspective for
Right.
a, for a minute or two. And going back to, people treat, political ideologies as sports teams. People treat their own ideologies like it's my way or the highway. I'm right. The other person must be wrong. It's like you said, your mother has cancer. You want her to get out of the house. You want her to be able to go out. You want her to be able to do that. And you want to be able to go to the bar, whether it be straight or gay. It's
100%.
That was such
no-
a
no
black
that
and
is
white comparison.
100. No, yeah. Forget about my newborn son, my family
Right.
member who died from cancer and COVID.
I'm trying to keep
I'm
the
still
mood
with
light.
you though. I am.
Trying to keep the mood
It was
light.
for a little bit there. I can't go to the bar. Can't go to the gay bar. Shit.
Look,
I'm just
no judging. This is a tree of trust. This is a tree of trust on Metal for the Masses. This is a judge-free zone. Everyone is welcome here. I must say this before I get the cancel comments coming after me.
Except for the Netherlands, you're not welcome. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. You got to be able to, why is somebody feeling this way? And it's as you
Right.
stated, look, you're experiencing it a lot differently than maybe somebody else might be experiencing it. There's people who never even got sick
Yeah.
at all.
Probably.
And so their
never knew
perspective,
anyone.
exactly.
Yeah.
Their perspective would be, well, why would I go do this? I never got sick. Like,
Yeah.
I got sick twice, even when I got you get the shot, you're okay.
Yep.
You still get sick.
I had it once after 3 vaccines, and
right.
luckily though, like I think this was possibly because of the vaccines and possibly because that variant was not so intense, but I didn't know when I had it. I just had like a sore throat and I was like, oh, it's COVID after like 3 days. And then
Yeah.
I was working out, I was running, it wasn't anything that killed me, obviously, but for some people it did. And that's just how wild this whole thing is, it's
just a heads up, guys. I have to put Malcolm down here in a couple of minutes. You can keep going
That's
without
fine.
to drop. But I got about like 5 minutes. Just
All right.
We'll be okay. We can wrap this up in 5 minutes, my friend. Don't worry about it. So what I'm trying to get at here is, whether you disagree, with somebody's perspective, somebody's music, somebody's anything, at least try to look at it through somebody else's perspective. Nothing, and also in the world of music, especially in metal, nothing is ever gained by playing it safe. You know, you should always, look, always, I don't want to say speak your truth. That sounds too
Live, laugh, love, speak your truth.
Right. Speak your truth, live, laugh, love. I always, do in your, they don't want to be Disney about it either, in your heart, always be true to your conviction. Always, say what you believe and be open to be told by somebody, I think you're full of shit. That's
Right.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, sir.
You know what that makes me think of is the on Paramount Plus, the South Park post-COVID special where they have to go back in time. The whole solution to that was, give people some slack. People are going to be having
weed
emotions
a little bit.
during
Get some
this time.
integrity.
Like, smoke some integrity, and just don't care so much about other people's opinions. Maybe even try to get to know why they might feel a certain way.
Sure.
right.
And just
And
chill
don't be so
out.
quick to cancel. Looking at you, Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I still go like to come back to wrap that up, man. Bless the younger generation of fans listening to this program. All of you who have made it through high school without not graduating or anything like that. You all need a PR person once you get out of high school. Some of the crazy shit that accidentally gets put on TikTok and shit like that. All three of us grew up with the original YouTube and Newgrounds and shit like that. Just going on those websites back in the day probably would get us in a heaping fuckload of trouble. So
Right.
all of you stay cautious out there and don't lose your fucking edge, dudes. We got to stay strong together. The metal community, arm in arm.
I grew up with the original Cartoon Network. I don't even think that would fly these days.
Oh yeah, there's obviously they're cartoon characters, but they're getting the shit beat out of each other and everything. You don't see that anymore.
No, you don't.
They got ingrained in us enough to where it makes really fucking cool music these days. So that is correlation and causation, baby.
Moral of the story here, thank you for turning into Metal for the Masses, the only place playing it harder, faster, and louder than anybody else. Ghidorah, Ian, Hayden, thank you for being here once again, gracing our presence here. To you, the listener, absolutely. To you, the listener, go listen to their new track, Kill Them Faster. Listen to it, not literally, I would hope. But also, I guess, to really everybody nowadays, whether they're watching this interview or listening to it, suck it up and stop getting so goddamn offended. I think that's a good way to end the interview. But gentlemen, if you guys have, I know you have merch and all this other kind of stuff, give it a quick plug real fast. Where can people find your stuff?
We are at Ghidorah the Band on all social media. That's TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. On any of those, you'll find at the top a link to merch, all of our streaming services. So we're on
Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube,
even Amazon, I think.
Tidal, man.
Man, you guys almost synced up perfectly here.
Yeah, we got it all.
And if you want that cool ass t-shirt that Ian's wearing, if you can see it, if this is video, that is available.
Ghidorah, baby.
We've got other stuff too, obviously.
Yeah.
All right.
And if this does become your catcher in the rye, we apologize in advance. Don't go. John Lennon's already dead, but
Listen, I don't blame you guys. It was probably meant to be anyway. But I hold no grudges. We're here
we appreciate you listening in. Anybody who listens to Metal for the Masses definitely deserves to. Hayden, is there a merch coupon code we can give the good people of?
I possibly could make that.
Yeah, we're gonna send that over. So that way, if you do listen to the show, make sure that we can let everybody know that we appreciate the shit out of you. And make sure you tell your friends about the podcast. Metal for the Masses, the only place that's had us so far, which you know means this is the coolest fucking place you can be. So keep listening and keep subscribing. Tell your friends.
It doesn't mean we're losers. It means that this is the coolest place.
That's right. The cool kids. That's why the 3 coolest kids are here right now, because nobody knows about it. We are.
Exactly.
We knew about it before anyone else.
That's right.
Fuck yeah. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you. And listen, man, I can't wait to hear, what else you guys come out with next.
All right. Yeah, we got stuff cooking. So
Hell yeah,
Ian,
man.
I don't know what that was, but I can't wait to have it in the YouTube. It's great.
Oh, he's got multiple horns. It's this.
Oh.
Right. I'm the 3-headed fucking space monster.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome.